Hi everyone, it's Terry here from nutsaboutsstamping.com. In today's video, I'm going to show you a really fun gift idea with the help of my honeybee bundle. Now this bundle is retiring on June 2nd, so if you love what I'm going to show you how to make today and you want to pick this up, I'll provide you with a link to my online store underneath this video, and you can link over and add it to your crafting collection. So for this project, I'm going to use a piece of designer series paper. I've decided to use a leftover piece of mosaic mood. I've cut it 5 inches by 12 inches. Now, one thing I want to say is that you can use a solid piece of cardstock to do this same project idea. I just like the idea of using designer series paper instead. So to this piece of paper, I'm going to bring in my scoring board. If you don't have a scoring board, you may have a paper cutter that has a scoring tool on it, that works too. And I'm going to score it at 5.5, and I'm going to score it a second time at 6.5. So that's 5.5 and 6.5. And then what I'm going to do is just burnish it, I guess you could say, with my thumbs. And the next thing I'm going to do is bring in my envelope punch board because I want to punch or round the corners. You may have a corner rounder punch. Stampin' Up! Does sell one, but I don't own it just yet. It's actually a set of 3 punches that create some pretty cool corners. Okay, so that is going to be the pocket for my gift idea. Now I want to create a little holder for it, so I have my classic label punch, and I'm going to bring that in. And I'm going to just hold the top together like so. And I'm going to punch both sides at once. Just going to eyeball it. And there we go. There is the holder for my gift idea. Now, we want to create pockets for the inside of this gift idea. So that's why I have left my scoring board up here on my table. I'm going to set aside the holder for a second. And now I'm going to bring in a piece of garden green cardstock. I have cut this 2 3/4 by 5 3/4. And what you're going to do is bring in your scoring tool, and you want to score it on 3 sides at 1/4 and 1/2. So I'm going to do the 2 short sides at 1/4 and 1/2. And then I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do just one of the long sides at 1/4, and 1/2. No worries that I slipped a little bit. Nobody's going to see what it looks like anyway. All right, so I'm going to set this aside for a second. And now what I'm going to do is there's these little sort of squares. These intersected lines create squares. And I'm just going to cut off one side, and then I'm going to do the same on the other side. Like so. Okay, so hopefully you can see what I've done. Scored it at 1/4 and 1/2 on the 2 short sides and one of the long sides. And then at the intersecting corners, I just cut off, I've got a little piece there, cut off the corners. And that will allow my little container that I'm going to create for the inside of my pocket holder. It'll create this really nice little container. So now what I want to do is I want to fold in on my score lines towards the inside, like so. Now I want to put it together and adhere it to the inside of my pocket holder. Now, let me say that you want to do this 2 times. So I've shown you how to create one. You're going to do it a second time. You can use the same color of solid cardstock, or you can use a contrasting color. I would choose colors that match the designer series paper so that it seems to be well coordinated. Now for my adhesive, I'm just going to unfold it a little bit. I'm using the tear and tape. I will say that the tear and tape adhesive is just a little bit wider than what your score lines are going to be. So an alternative would be to use the multi-purpose glue. But I'm going to use tear and tape because I find it's a really quick and easy adhesive to use, even though it overlaps a little bit. Or it's a little bit wider, I guess, than my score lines. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to tear off on the long side. And then I'm going to just fold this up and in and then wrap my corner around. So that way I have a nice corner. I'll show you on this side. So I'm just going to fold it up and in, and then I'm just going to wrap the side around and adhere it down, and that creates my little pockets. Okay, so now I'm going to peel off the tear and tape, hopefully. There we go. This is really sticky, which is why I like to use it for projects like these. Okay, so now let me bring this in, and I am going to set this down fairly close to the score line at the bottom, like so. Okay, so there you can see I've got one little pocket. Now before the video began, I created a second pocket because once you've seen me do one, I think you'll get the hang of it. You can always stop the video and go back and review it so you can see what I did. This tear and tape's not going to come off so well. All right, I stopped the video so that I could just get the tear and tape off easily. And of course, the moment I stopped the video, it peeled up like a charm. So what you want to do is then for your second pocket, you want to put it in the opposite direction. And then what I recommend is you take a bone folder and you just make sure that it's going to stick down really fast. And I'm going to do it on this side as well. And there we go. We are getting it together very slowly. Now let's do some decorating for the outside of this pocket holder. Now if I had been smarter, I would have decorated it first and then put the pocket on the inside, but you know, sometimes things don't work that way. So I'm going to bring in a piece of Very Vanilla because Very Vanilla is one of the colors of this project. And I am going to bring from the stamp set, the Honeybee stamp set, there's a phrase that says, "Thinking of you, sweet friend." And I'm going to ink it up using Garden Green. And I'm going to stamp it down in the middle of this layer of Very Vanilla. And then, before the video began, I stamped and die cut 2 of the honeybees, the smaller honeybees from the same stamp set. And here's one of them here. And I stamped them in soft suede because soft suede is one of the colors in the designer series paper. Now soft suede ink that we sell it's water-based, which means if it gets wet, it will run. So I want to color my honeybee using crushed curry because crushed curry, again, is one of the colors in the designer series paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a blender pen and I'm going to very carefully color the stripes in the honeybee without touching the soft suede ink. And that way my colors won't run together. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I'll clean off my blender pen in a minute. So I created a second honeybee before the video began. And I think what I'll use is some of my Stampin' Dimensionals. I have some leftover little pieces. So I'm just going to cut the edge, and I'm going to add a honeybee on either side of my phrase, like so. And then, again, I should have layered this, but I think I'm doing things backwards today. All right, so now I have a piece of this cardstock. I think it's Blushing Bride. Anyway, I'll make sure that I write the name underneath. And then I want to layer my phrase onto the layer of underneath. Okay, and then I'm going to add it to the front of my project. And that will create a nice present for somebody special. There we go. It would be easier to do this without all the bits and pieces on top. Okay, and I think what I'm going to do is put it like so. All right, coming together beautifully. I hope you agree. Now, the last thing I want to do is I have a piece of the Magnolia Lane ribbon, and I want a sort of a neutral ribbon. And what I'm going to do, I am going to make a bow, and this will finish off my project. So you may be wondering, and I'll have a photo of the final project over on my blog afterwards, but you may be wondering what goes inside this little pocket container. Well, I think there's a variety of things. I think you could put some chocolates in there. You could put some Post-it note holders. You could put some cards and envelopes that you've created using the corresponding paper and colors for this project. I think there's a variety of things, and I'm going to leave that up to you to decide what's going to go inside. The purpose of my video was to show you how to create this fun project idea so that you can take it and use the supplies that you have on hand and make whatever you want for somebody special in your life. If you'd like a complete listing of the supplies that I used and the measurements for all of the layers, head on over to my blog, www.nutsaboutstamping.com. While you're on my blog, consider subscribing to my free newsletters. I send 2 newsletters a week with projects in there that you won't see anywhere else. And also over on my blog, there's a link to my online store. I'll also again put the link underneath this video over on my YouTube channel here, so that if you want to place an order, you can do that, keeping in mind that the Honeybee Bundle will be retiring soon. I'm Terry. I am Nuts About Stamping. I hope you'll create something fun today too. Bye for now.